Fortnite Season 2 is here, and the amount of secrets I've learned in the past week will literally blow you away. Epic Games have done an incredible job of hiding the secret storyline in Fortnite, and unless you really take a magnifying glass to it like we have, you won't be able to piece it together. This is the Fortnite Season 2 storyline explained. Okay, so a lot of this won't make sense unless you have the full picture of the Season 2 storyline. Here's my version of the Chapter 2 story in less than a minute. Start the timer. Old Fortnite map goes kaboom, and so these people called the Visitors, who accidentally made it blow up because they messed with something called the Zero Point, find out someone else in a different dimension has been messing with the same thing. They send this forward scout team we know as Ego to investigate, and they find out there's an evil group called Alter who's controlling the island and doing all this experiments. Turns out, it's actually evil versions of this scout team who make up Alter. All Season 1 we're fighting with this group, and an all-out war breaks out. The head of Alter is this mastermind called the Chaos Agent, where we don't know much about him besides seeing him in this loading screen with some very interesting plans. He wants control of the Zero Point and the island. Ego doesn't want him to have that. That's pretty much the entire story in less than a minute. Now that you're caught up, it's time for me to let you in on everything and explain it all. There's a lot. I really need your help. There are two roads that Epic are taking with Chapter 2 storyline, and it's best if I try to explain both because the storyline is something we as a community have to figure out together. Just please do me one favor, make sure you watch both approaches before commenting because you might be able to see something here that I or everybody else in the Fortnite community haven't. Here's Theory 1 of the Fortnite Season 2 storyline explained. To understand the story and where it's going and the bigger picture, the best approach that lets me explain it clearly is asking and answering my own questions. We must start by asking, what exactly is the agency? Throughout the days leading up to Season 2's launch, posters all around the world began appearing with a golden handprint as well as numbers to call in order to be activated and recruited as a top secret agent. Who was sending out these posters? Well, a mysterious organization called the Agency. Our first theory takes a guess that the Agency is actually a third neutral team on the Chapter 2 island, outside of both Alter and Ego, or as we know them now, Ghost and Shadow. This Agency is a neutral team made up of Season 2 Battle Pass skins who are watching closely and gaining intel on what exactly is happening in this war. They haven't yet picked a side in the ongoing war on the island between Ghost and Shadow, but as the battle gets closer each day, eventually each agent will have to choose. In the Battle Pass tab, you're able to select which organization each agent pledges allegiance to. You can't reverse that decision once it's made. According to Fortnite's own Twitter account, the agency's interests are securing intel and taking back the island. So when we ask what exactly the agency might be, our first theory is that it's Fortnite's version of the FBI. That's kind of the easiest way to explain it so it makes sense, but what exactly are the agency's goal? Do they want to send their agents undercover into either organization so they could take over and secure the island for themselves? What's so important about the island and why are there so many people trying to control it? There's so many questions that we can't wait for Epic to answer if they ever do. Now we have to establish how the agency even got to the island in the first place. We know Ghost was sent to the island in Season 1 by the Seven in order to investigate the map and make sure that Chaos Agent was up to no good, and we know that Alter was already on the map, so where has the agency come from? During the end of Season 1, on the center island, some furniture began turning gold out of nowhere, and over time the whole interior kept turning gold. At the time, we assumed this was because the leaked Oro gold skin was living there, but looking back, it actually makes a lot more sense. The best guess is that this house actually belonged to Midas, the Tier 100 Season 2 skin. Everything Midas touches turns to gold, so it makes sense that he lived here. But there's more than that you probably didn't recognize. On the golden toilet, you could find a ghost document, which meant Midas was reading and learning all about Ego and its intel. You already know the answer to this, but what happens if you go to the center island in Season 2 now? It's not there anymore. Instead, it's the official headquarters of, you guessed it, Ego or Ghost. Just for clarification, Ghost and Ego are the same thing, so from here on out, I'll just be saying Ghost. It's no coincidence that the agency is on the same island that this house was. So we're assuming Ghost built their new headquarters on Midas's old house, but where did the agency itself come from? It's possible that Midas is underneath the building in the hideout, forming a team of secret agents, aka the Battle Pass skins, who are monitoring both Ghost and Shadow. That leads us to what exactly is the agency's mission? If Midas already lived on the island and Ghost approached him to build their headquarters on his land, maybe he got suspicious of them and wanted to see what's happening. Maybe the agency already existed on the island and they have been lurking in the shadows the entire time, wondering and learning about these two forces that are fighting. We know that Chaos Agent, who is the mastermind behind Shadow, was tinkering with the Zero Point's energy as well as Kevin the Cube, considering he actually owns Steamy Stacks. Obviously, the visitors could not allow this to happen and restart the loop they worked so hard to destroy, so they sent Ghost down there to stop their plans. Because the agency may lurk in the shadows, they likely just want to keep it that way, and with Ghost and Shadow fighting over control of the island, the agency's mission is just to stop them from destroying it completely, which, already happened. Been there, done that, that's why you're able to pick a side, because the agency's decision is player by player. This is one version of events which pretty much shines a beam on what the live event of this season will be, and I'll talk about that after we look at the second version of what could be happening, and that is Storyline 2. Okay, so our second version of events that's possible is actually that the agency is an organization built up from multiple different dimensions. We're familiar with their forward scouting team Ego as well as Alter, however it's possible they are actually the same as Ghost and Shadow. Let's get into that. With both theories, everything we talked about in Season 1 was true. These are two organizations that have these same exact people but are just from different dimensions. One side is trying to open the vault and take control of the island, while the other is trying to prevent it. But with the second theory, we're gonna assume that there are actually two versions of the agency. I know that's confusing, let me explain everything. There's a Ghost version of the agency and a Shadow version of the agency. It's confirmed that Ego and Alter are the exact same from different dimensions, but what if the agency is also from different dimensions and that's why you have the same skins, but once again, they're the exact opposites? Essentially, the Season 1 skins belong to Alter and Ego. That's what teams they're on. Notice how we don't see them at all in Season 2 storyline promotions? That's because Ghost and Shadow are actually an entirely different team of people, but in the same organization, the agency. Ghost is Ego's version of the agency, while Shadow could be Alter's version. There are some plot holes in this theory, such as where did the agencies come from and why are we just seeing them appear now? No theory is perfect, and we'd love to hear what you think, especially if it's a really solid story idea. Make sure you follow us on Instagram or Twitter at Top5GamingX. Here's one big plot hole that I have with Theory 1 though. It doesn't make sense that you could already find Midas at the normal agency in the map where he's one of the bosses if you could also choose him as a selectable style for him to be a part of Shadow. Unless there's two versions of him, which isn't so far-fetched after everything I just explained. But what does this actually mean for the future of the storyline in Season 2 itself? We've got these theories and ideas, but at the end of the day, it's leading to something big, and I have a really strong feeling I think I know what it is. The future of Season 2. The more than likely theory for how the season will play out will be us deciding who to fight for in the war between Ghost and Shadow. Which agency do we want to play as? There's a computer in the Battle Pass room which says coming soon and has the logos for Ghost and Shadow versus each other. It's literally right in front of us. It's possible that some kind of event where players have to choose who wins is gonna happen in the future. Similar to when we pick sides for the final showdown with Team Monster and Team Robot, although the outcome of this upcoming event might actually be decided by which team has the most members or something even cooler. So of course, I think the players will definitely determine who wins, but the method on how they do it will definitely surprise you. Do you think it'll be like the Unvaulting event from Season 7 last year where we choose, or do you think this might tie into some kind of bigger picture? What if there was a big 50v50 live event where it's Ghost vs Shadow, and whoever gets the most eliminations or wins in a certain amount of time will prevail and the story will follow that path? Would you believe me if I told you there's an actual leaked Faction Wars LTM in the game files that's planning on releasing soon? Call me crazy, but some kind of route where the player's own performance decides the future of the game makes sense. In fact, Epic said it themselves in the Battle Pass trailer. They mentioned that which side you choose for each agent will quote-unquote change the fate of the island forever. Not only that, but the official Xbox description for Fortnite Season 2 is, you've been activated, play as a spy and join the forces of Ghost or Shadow to secure intel, sabotage rival agents, and take back the island. The agency is calling, will you join the fight? Lots of hints point directly to this second theory being true, and yet we have no idea. We have to wait for more proof and information from Fortnite themselves before we can be 100% certain what's going on with the storyline right now in Season 2. However, we have our first update. There is a loading screen for the Week 1 challenges, and we all love a good loading screen. I mean, especially with last season, we pretty much relied entirely on them for the story. This is the screen for Week 1. At first glance, it seems like nothing, but then you could explore everything inside of this loading screen and pick out some very important elements. Firstly, the analyzing part is likely someone looking at Agent Meowscles' DNA to try and find out what exactly he is. I mean, yes, he's a cat-human hybrid, but what if he's more than meets the eye? You could also spot some kind of radar which picks up quite a few dots on there. Who knows what they're tracking? It could be fellow secret agents or loot, kind of like when you interrogate a henchman in the game. Looking in the bottom right of the loading screen, you could spot an interesting triangle of locations on the Fortnite island. These are Pleasant Park, Dirty Docks, and somewhere between Slurpy Swamp and Misty Meadows. Now, either they are pointing out these locations as the next targets for building headquarters, or they're showing off a triangle. Mainly, we're thinking future map changes being hinted here. For example, if you look at one of the original Season 2 teaser images, you could actually spot a pyramid POI in the background. It's very subtle, but once you see it, you can't miss it. Where is this pyramid? We haven't seen it once in game, so I think we'll either see Ghost or Shadow take over one of these 3 locations on the loading screen and then build a new POI there with more henchmen. The pyramid POI would be at the very top of the list that could come soon. But finally in this loading screen, we come to the most interesting one of all, a secret skin. No, it's not Deadpool. We don't know what this skin is gonna be or when it'll show its face in the item shop or battle pass, but all we do know is that it looks like this, and I'm fairly sure it's some kind of alternate version of Lynx. We now know from the Meowscles loading screen as well as the opening cinematic that Lynx is a member of the agency, which means she has alternate versions of herself on the Chapter 2 island. This skin is likely one of those alternate versions. When will we see it? Probably soon. That brings us to the final question of this whole thing. It's great talking about what exactly might be happening in Season 2 and where the storyline has arrived, but we can't really forget about Season 1's whole story, can we? What exactly happened to Chaos Agent and his massive army of evil sludges? It's a great question, and it might remain unanswered for most, if not all, of this season. If Ego and Alter are being shoved into the background with Ghost and Shadow brought to the front, it could almost certainly mean that Chaos Agent and his team of Fuse soldiers will be making a move soon. Things are uncertain, but all will make sense soon. Click on screen, watch this video right now. If not, get 10 years of bad luck. This is Tommy. Click like to see more storyline videos. The support means a lot, and keep it here on Top 5 Gaming.